during yesterday's live stream, check out Exposed Extra if you'd be missing it. But during yesterday's live stream, we started talking about nasty parents in Hollywood and how YouTube kids, children that are on YouTube, they don't really have a system that could protect them from the money getting stolen and them getting done dirty. And then y'all brought up Ryan's World, which I remember that was a YouTube channel where this kid opened up a bunch of toys or whatever. So let's check up on an update and see what's happening. And I heard it's pretty dark. Let's get straight into it. Don't forget to hit the hype button. All that good stuff. Hey, what's up, Amber? How you doing? All right, let's see what's happening.
Ryan's World's parents amassed immense wealth running one of the biggest kids brands on the internet. But the success they'd built around their son eventually became harder to sustain.
He was pretty big. I could have swore he had something on Nickelodeon too, right? I could have swore. I know his toys were in regular stores, right? He had a brand of toys or that. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not tripping. Just let it keep playing.
With collapsing views, vanished ad revenue, and a flopped multi-million-dollar movie standing as proof of how quickly it all unraveled. My name's Ryan, and in this video, we'll be looking at how Loann and
yeah, he had a show on Nickelodeon. That's crazy. If he's not set for life, his parents are doing him dirty. How you go from YouTube opening toys to a Nickelodeon TV show?
Sean Kaji lost everything because of their greed. Ryan Kaji's journey on YouTube began in 2015 when at just 3 years old, he told his mother that he wanted to be on the platform like other kids.
When I was 3, I was watching other people and I was like, why am I not on there? And I started my own YouTube channel.
At the time, he spent hours glued to channels like EvanTube HD and Hulian Maya, which were filled with videos of children playing with toys, especially Thomas the Tank Engine, which Ryan was completely obsessed with. Noticing his fascination, his parents decided to give him a chance, posting a simple video of his mother taking him to a toy store and filming him picking out a Lego train.
Oh, that looks cool. What is it?
It's a Lego choo-choo train.
A Lego choo-choo train?
Uh-huh.
Why do you want this?
Because I like it.
That video marked the beginning of a channel that would become one of the biggest kids brand on YouTube, but it wasn't until one particular upload about a giant Lightning McQueen surprise egg filled with over 100 Disney Cars toys that the channel truly exploded. The video eventually racked up over
1.2 billion is nuts. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. I know the numbers ain't nowhere near that currently, right?
1.2 billion views and 1.5 million likes, turning him into a global phenomenon almost overnight. But notably enough, behind Ryan's meteoric rise were his parents, who, as the channel continued to grow, stopped treating it like a hobby and started running it like a business. They took things to an entirely different level when they started negotiating brand deals on behalf of Ryan, securing partnerships with major retailers like Walmart and Target, which began stocking toys from his own product line across the US. Before long, his name was appearing on everything from his own merchandise to Colgate toothpaste, and the brand soon expanded into mobile apps and video games like
was on toothpaste. Yo, he better have millions upon millions in the bank waiting for him. He should never have to work for the rest of his life as an adult. That's crazy. He was on Colgate, Nickelodeon TV shows, toys, cartoons, toothpaste. Get that man his money.
Ryan's Rescue Squad. Within just 5 years, the channel had become one of the highest earning on the platform, topping YouTube's earning charts in 2018, 2019, and 2020, which made Ryan the highest paid creator for 3 years in a row. By 2021, the family had earned over $1 billion, not just from ads, but from a growing empire of products built entirely around Ryan's name. As Ryan's channel continued to expand, his parents quit their jobs and launched Sunlight Entertainment, a full-fledged production company with over 20 employees handling every aspect of the operation. But this growth created serious consequences.
I was gonna say, that's kind of nuts. You hired a full production team just for your one kid? Yeah, that had to be a lot. For sure. And now, when he ages out of the content, to be able to maintain that and bring in some kind of money, y'all gonna probably be stretching. they're running through whatever Ryan has.
Hiring a massive team, Ryan's parents built an operation with enormous financial overhead. The channel now had to support dozens of salaries, benefits, and production costs, with everything resting on the shoulders of a single child. And that's not all. With an expanded workforce, even the family home had to evolve. Rooms were converted into professional sets, filled with cameras, lighting rigs, and toys, slowly turning Ryan's daily life from ordinary childhood into full-time content creation. At one point, the family was even running more than 10 channels simultaneously, producing up to 25 videos a week, ranging from pretend.
Forget millions, they should have billions. They should have billions in the bank. What? You know how many views this kid was getting? So you split that up between 10 channels. Oh my gosh. Look at Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast be getting views like crazy. He ain't getting what this kid was getting at the time. At least I don't think so. Right? Especially not now. 1.2 billion. And then you split it between multiple channels. So you're probably getting millions of views per video on multiple different channels. And then you add on top of that the sponsorships for him to hold a Hershey's bar in the video. They paying you a bunch of money. Nickelodeon, toys. He has money on top of money. He should have at least $500 million saved. Like, what? They were monetizing the hell out of him. There's millionaire YouTubers that don't have 1/10 of the level of monetization that they're doing. And they're millionaires. So imagine that, and you got a whole team dedicated. And one day, this kid was probably filming like 1 week's worth of content. They had stacks on top of stacks. They're still releasing stuff now, and he's older. And it's like replays. They got a live stream running damn near 24/7 playing his old content. This man should have crazy money saved up.
Play and skits to science experiments, each one meticulously planned to maximize engagement. As a result, ordinary moments like eating breakfast and taking trips to the store were filmed and turned into content. And since Ryan was too young to make decisions, he became the foundation of a multi-million-dollar brand where his childhood and the business became inseparable. But as that global brand grew larger, the nature of Ryan's content quietly began to change. What had once been videos of a child playing with toys slowly shifted into something more structured, promoting specific products that his parents had been paid to feature.
Our cheeseburger's done. It slants it too. Do this, and then we could do that.
At the time, Ryan had no real way
Ain't no way they wasn't paying him. No way McDonald's ain't giving money for him.
of understanding what was happening, because to him, they were just toys, things he was given to play with while his parents filmed his reactions. And the audience watching couldn't tell the difference either. Most of them were preschoolers, children far too young to recognize what product placement even is, let alone understand that a video might be designed to influence what they wanted their parents to buy. And on top of that, the promotions weren't labeled clearly. Instead, they were woven right into the play, making it impossible to tell where the fun ended and the marketing began. From a child's perspective, Ryan felt relatable and familiar, so the products he touched automatically felt trustworthy too.
You can't go!
Soon, this pattern became harder to ignore, with parents beginning to point out how every video revolved around a new product, a toy reveal, or weirdly long ads. Some took more drastic measures against the channel, going as far as banning their kids from watching it completely. Ryan was banned 6 months ago in my house. It gave my kids some weird expectations for life. He thought it was normal for kids to get multiple new toys every day, and I was a mean mom for not bringing him a toy every time I leave the house. Screw Ryan's toy review. Oh my god, I had to do the same thing recently. My kid was picking up trash habits and saying weird things, especially keep watching and don't forget to like and subscribe, WTF. The parents and adults in Ryan's world are horrible, always playing mean pranks on each other and doing ridiculously scripted challenges that teach literally no valuable life lessons. Unless you think cheating to win is good, SMH. Being a single working mom is impossible without TV, not taking that away. I don't care what anyone says, but YouTube isn't coming.
And you gotta hold that into account when you have children. Like, they might love watching stuff like this, but if there's no educational value or something that they can learn from it, it's probably gonna be a negative. right? My mom made sure we had PBS on 24/7, where we was watching cartoons and shows and getting tricked into reading Rainbow, Arthur. That was my ish. In Between the Lions, which I think was a reading show as well. They had one with the kids was doing math. Like there's a plethora. Was that Little Einsteins? Maybe. But oh, and Ghost Rider, can't forget that. That was tricking you to learn how to read, bro. Because Ghost Rider didn't talk. He just wrote on the wall, so you had to read it out loud. Kids ain't really getting that level of entertainment. They're not putting any thought into the content creation because now anyone can create. Anyone could get on YouTube, point a camera at their kid and be like, yo, look, play with this toy. They're not going to put the effort into saying, all right, let's see if we can get an educational game going on. Let's teach some actual lessons. Let's write a full script. They're not going to even waste their time because they're just making tons of money. Daily, he was opening new toys every day. Yo, that's because you don't have a production team at your house. When your kid want a new toy every day, you don't have like 30 people to be like, on the way, here you go. Like, hold on, let me record and edit this.
Back anytime soon, threw the whole app away. Even consumer advocacy groups started pointing out that this crossed legal boundaries designed to protect young audiences. In the United States, children's advertising is tightly regulated, with federal guidelines requiring sponsored content aimed at kids to be clearly disclosed and separated from entertainment. But Ryan's videos blurred that boundary almost completely, and critics argued that this was exploiting an audience too young to protect itself. Eventually, the controversy reached regulators. The Federal Trade Commission, which enforces truth in advertising rules in the US, took notice, along with the agencies responsible for enforcing COPPA, a law designed to protect children online and limit how companies target them. Under mounting pressure, Ryan's parents rebranded the channel, changing the name from Ryan Toys Review to Ryan's World. The new branding made it seem like the channel was moving away from constant toy promotion, emphasizing learning and family-friendly content. But in reality, almost nothing changed, making the rebrand feel more like a PR move than a real reform.
And this is not an ordinary Transformers toy. This is Optimus Prime limited edition. Here.
At this point, the foundation of the empire Ryan's parents had built was starting to crack, and soon those cracks would lead to investigations and rule changes that would permanently reshape the channel, marking the beginning of their deserved downfall. By 2019, the spotlight on child-directed content on YouTube had reached a breaking point. However, Ryan's channel wasn't the only one blurring the line between play and advertising. That year, the Federal Trade Commission, alongside the New York Attorney General, stepped in with one of the largest digital enforcement actions in history, fining Google and YouTube with a record-breaking $170 million penalty for allegedly collecting personal information from children without parental consent, violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Of that total, $136 million went to the FTC and $34 million to the New York Attorney General's office, marking the largest COPPA settlement ever. But the real issue was about YouTube's system, because the platform had been serving targeted ads on child-focused channels, going as far as using web cookies to follow viewers across the internet and deliver ads.
I remember hearing about that. Yo, that's so nuts, bro. Dangerous too.
Even though the platform knew channels like Ryan's were aimed at kids, it treated them like general users, bypassing parental consent and the legal safeguards designed to protect young audiences. The ruling forced massive changes to the platform as well. Comments were disabled on YouTube Kids videos, targeted ads were heavily restricted, and YouTube's recommendation algorithm shifted away from promoting preschool content so aggressively. For creators like Ryan's parents, who had built a business model around constant uploads and ad-driven revenue.
I remember that era of YouTube where a bunch of YouTubers, even if they didn't do kids content, they would speak in a way as if they was the dude from Blue's Clues. Like, you gotta know. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen vloggers and they could have been just talking about their life. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about... Like, yo, why you being so damn... I guess you could say, what's the word? Energetic or something. You putting a lot of emphasis in your expressions and blah, blah, and they're like fast cuts. Yo, Jake Paul used to do that. Rice Gum. These niggas is not for kids, but guess who was most of their audience because of the style and the way that they did it? Because people was noticing there was a push at that time when you did kids kind of content. So it would be like bright colors only. Remember, what was this other guy? Morgs. And then you had people like J Station that started getting nasty with it. But he was using the I'm doing this for kids performance.
The effects were devastating, with reports suggesting that they lost around 70% of their income almost overnight, triggering the beginning of their brand's financial decline.
FTC prohibited the target ads for the made for kids content from YouTube after a certain point. Target ad takes the big role on the YouTube, and after that point, that's the majority of the revenue, the ad revenue. So after that was taken out from the kids content, we lost revenue of 70%.
The FTC also required YouTube to implement systems that allowed creators to identify child-directed content and provide annual COPPA compliance training. Suddenly, channels that had been able to monetize preschool audiences freely were forced to operate under strict legal rules, where any misstep could have serious consequences. As if the FTC crackdown wasn't enough, another problem was quietly emerging. Ryan was getting older, and the little children who loved his toy boxings at 5 or 6 were now teenagers as well, spending most of their time on video games, social media, and hanging out with friends, all while Ryan was still opening toys meant for toddlers. For his peers, the magic was gone, as watching someone their own age play with toys that were meant for kids did not make sense anymore. His voice is deeper than mine, dude. How is he still doing this? I always watched him as a little kid and was always jealous of what he did and the challenges.
They didn't let the content grow with Ryan. Right, like my little cousin, she had this YouTuber that she used to love watching. I think she still be watching them. But the little girl was doing similar Ryan style content. But the parents was like, let her be an individual. We got our own channel over here. She could have her own channel, do what she wants. She want to do music, let her do it. Now I see my little cousin watching it. They playing video games. Now my little cousin want to, get on the sticks. See if she good at NBA now. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But they let the channel grow with the kid. Let them do what they feel, whatever they want to do to express themselves. They were treating this like a strictly business. So Ryan had to just keep doing whatever the hell was getting them money. They didn't care about what the heck he wanted to do.
But now, I'm grateful I'm just a normal kid. And the numbers reflected that shift because videos that used to pull in hundreds of millions of views now struggle to reach a few 100,000. Engagement also slowed, and YouTube's recommendation system stopped pushing the channel the way it had before. But Ryan couldn't simply grow up along with his audience. His entire brand relied on him acting like a cheerful little kid, so letting Ryan change, explore new interests, or take a step back was a direct threat to
What did I just say? That's crazy.
the empire his parents had built. In the end, Ryan growing up signaled that the falloff had gotten to a point of no return. The brand his parents built wasn't designed to adapt, and once
Kids his age is not putting on no damn cape and running around. Kids maybe 5 years younger.
that image no longer matched reality,
When I was this age, I was going outside. Let me see what the heck is going on in the hood. Let me go play some basketball.
everything began to unravel, paving the way for the financial struggles that would soon follow. As views fell and revenue dried up, Ryan's parents leaned harder on the channel. Every video and sponsorship became essential to keep the money coming, and Ryan was expected to keep performing even as his interest disappeared. Acting as a child became his new job, and most importantly, the scale of the operation becomes staggering. Today, Ryan's main channel has over 3.5 thousand uploads, compared to other top creators like MrBeast, whose main channel has just 943. The sheer volume of content makes it painfully clear that for Ryan's parents, maintaining production had become more important than preserving their child's well-being or creative interest. The dynamic between Ryan and his parents became even clearer during a podcast appearance with John Yu Shea, where although Ryan was technically the featured guest, his parents were the ones who did the majority of the talking. And whenever Ryan spoke, he would glance at them as if making sure that he didn't talk more than what they wanted him to say.
Because it was rehearsed. They planned this whole thing. They don't let him have his own ideas. Yo, think about it. couldn't they have just dedicated the team that they had into following him on some live streamers journey type of ish? What do you want to do today, Ryan? You want to study, play basketball, work out, right? And that's if he even wanted to do content at all anymore. But they should have let the channel and everything grow with him. Why are they even there? He's being interviewed and his two parents on his. That's crazy, bro. And when I say there, I mean on camera. If you background, get your ass in the background. Go behind the camera. Be on the side while he's being interviewed.
In another instance, he was asked if he would continue with YouTube when he grew up, to which he responded by saying,
Given your interest to be an animator and maybe go behind the camera, like as you get older?
I think I will keep going for a while, yeah.
Then, when asked if he enjoyed making content, he admitted that he had enjoyed it as a kid.
Did you ever tell your parents, like, no, I want to be in more videos, I want to do more?
I think when I was a kid, I had lots of fun doing the videos like with my sisters and with my parents, and I loved like making the videos because I got to like play with the toys.
Yeah.
A statement that
So I said, if he even wants to keep doing it, let's let him be a kid. They should let him be a kid. I would not put my kid through so much stress and pressure. Poor kid didn't have time without cameras, in my opinion. That's facts. I think it would be way different if this was his actual goal and what he wanted to do. Because there are kids that just know from the jump, like, yo, listen, I want to do this. Right? This is something, I want to be a basketball player. Like, I want to go hard. Let me go to basketball camp. Like, push me for this. And there's some that feel that way for entertainment. There's kids that's like, I want to be an actor. Right? But then you'll notice the difference between that and then children that are getting pushed into doing things that they are not comfortable with and don't want to do. And it seems like, and it's just my opinion, from what I'm seeing, that's how it is with him and his parents. You can tell, like, he's not interested in doing this, bro. And they just keep on pushing it, keep on jumping in front of the camera, because they want to just turn him into a machine, a money-making machine, rather than what's best for him. So if he genuinely at one time did want to create content, they're not doing it in a way that's supporting him. They're doing it in a way that's lining their pockets up.
revealed just how detached he had grown from the process. Ironically, his parents insisted in the same interview that they never forced him to do something he didn't want, yet Ryan still appears regularly in videos, proving just how far from the truth they were. But what shocked many was their next move, announcing a feature film starring Ryan himself. The project had an extravagant budget and was meant to push the brand beyond YouTube, but to critics, it was more proof that protecting the business now mattered more than Ryan's own happiness. Even his peers rooted for him, saying, "I'm 12 and he's 12 too, but he's being treated like he's never seen real love and life of a 12-year-old. Even if I'm not living the best life, I'm still happy with life to the fullest as I can, while he's just living a life of control and suffering. I'm sorry, Ryan, I hope you are okay." Kind of feel bad because
Kids that age is doing stuff like going outside, bro.
his parents are just using him instead of treating him like a human being. When the movie finally hit theaters, the result was a disaster, and not in a small recoverable way Ryan's parents might have hoped. Despite a reported $10 million budget and heavy promotion, the film earned barely $624,000, with many screenings almost completely empty.
They like 8 years too late for that. Why would they? They're not even thinking. Y'all trying to milk all the money you could get. That don't even make sense to come out with a cartoon in that style for him right now. What? 2024? That's nuts.
Forcing theaters to quickly cut back on showtimes. I've noticed that my work theater and several other theaters in the area have cut showtimes for Ryan's World film, perhaps because resales are so poor. The reaction from audiences was just as brutal. Parents described the film as a horrible excuse for an animated motion picture, while others left harsh remarks like YouTube quality embarrassment straight to the theaters, and cash grab but fails to be a cash grab. Various YouTubers reacted as well, as SunnyV2, video openly criticizing the opening scene where Ryan's mom does Tai Chi on a driveway before a giant blue egg suddenly lands.
The pivotal opening shot that sets the scene is absolutely awful. Who does yoga on a driveway? Then, without explanation, a giant blue egg lands right beside her, revealing not only a film crew in the garage's reflection,
And with a 1.8 out of 10 IMDb score, it became one of the lowest rated films of the year.
And they needed $10 million to make that. They pocketed most of that, bro. You need $10 million for that with those kind of mistakes?
As even theater employees across multiple countries reported days with zero ticket sales. In the end, what was intended as a grand expansion of the empire instead became a public humiliation. This left Ryan's parents with massive financial losses, a tarnished reputation, and a brand that could no longer sustain their empire. The golden age of Ryan Toys reviews was over, and the empire built on a 3-year-old's charm was falling harder than many expected. After years at the very top, the first real sign that something was wrong came from the numbers themselves. From 2018 to 2020, Ryan Kaji had dominated YouTube's earnings charts, holding the title of the highest paid creator in the world for 3 years straight. But by 2023, he had fallen all the way to number 17 on that same list, showing how much of his audience had moved on. It got even worse when the channel tried to adapt, replacing the simple toy unboxings with more age-appropriate content like gaming videos and educational challenges. On paper,
You doing gaming videos. Why is his parents still in the video? They don't care about him.
it was a logical move. Ryan was growing up, so the content needed to grow up with him. But the audience didn't follow, even calling it cringe. Those new age-appropriate uploads also struggled to gain traction, pulling in only a fraction of the views that his older videos once attracted effortlessly. His growth was also stalled, and the excitement they hoped to rekindle.
Look at the style that you're using to make it. Like, you're still treating it like it's Blue's Clues. How you gonna do a Roblox video and still treat it like it's Blue's Clues, bro? You're wildin'. Like, grow up.
With his new uploads simply wasn't there anymore. His entire brand,
And I'm not even saying him, I'm saying production-wise. In fact, just give it up. Let him do what he wants to do.
now looked like just another children's channel drifting through the algorithm, trying to stay relevant in a space that had already moved on. And since Ryan had grown, he started appearing less. Gradually, his twin sisters were featured more and more in the videos, first alongside him, then in leading roles of their own. Over time, the shift became impossible to ignore, as the brand was preparing for a future where Ryan was no longer the centerpiece. But instead of slowing production or letting the channel wind down naturally, his parents kept pushing, recycling, and reposting his old videos. They also set up long live streams to run on loop, replaying hours of Ryan's charming childhood content back to back. The same clips of him opening toys at 4 or 5 years old were repackaged again and again, attempting to squeeze out whatever ad revenue was still possible. At this point, the channel was no longer about creating new memories. Instead, it was clearly about monetizing old ones. As this was happening, commentary creators began to take notice. Videos analyzing the decline of Ryan.
I was gonna say, he probably put his foot down, like, no, I'm not doing it no more. I'm done.
World started appearing across YouTube, breaking down the shrinking view counts, the fading relevance, and the uncomfortable reality of a child star who had outgrown the character that made him famous. What once felt like a wholesome success story was beginning to look like a warning, yet even then, the operation never fully stopped. Sponsors continued to appear in new uploads, even as recently as a few months ago, which to many viewers, it no longer looked like strategic growth, but desperation, a last attempt to keep money flowing from a brand that was already dead. As the channel moved forward with his sisters at the center, his place in the empire that carried his name slowly faded into the background. After the collapse of their YouTube dominance and the public failure of their movie, Loan and Sean Kaji quietly stepped away from the spotlight that once had defined their lives. The same parents who used to appear in interviews talking about growth, brand deals, and Ryan's future slowly faded from public view, choosing instead to avoid media appearances and rarely speak about the direction of the channel at all. By 2021, the family had already moved from Texas to Honolulu, Hawaii.
He should have never been in the cameras. In fact, if he didn't want to do this, He shouldn't have been on camera.
settling into a multi-million-dollar home, far from the warehouses and studio spaces that once powered their daily operations. According to Kaji's parents, the decision was about finding privacy and stability even after years of living inside what critics described as a content factory.
We were in a home for a long time during the COVID. We stay home and kids couldn't go to school. It was all remote work. In Hawaii, there's city life and they're also close to the nature. And there's a great private school in Hawaii too. I thought it would be a perfect match for Ryan.
At the time, their home was less of a family space and more of a workplace, with strict filming schedules, rotating staff, and constant production blurring the line between business and everyday life. Because of that, they had no other option but to relocate. And yet, even though Ryan's World no longer dominates YouTube the way it once did, the business behind it never truly disappeared. Sunlight Entertainment, the production company the Kajis created during the channel's rise, is still active today, although its purpose has changed. The company now focuses on managing the massive library of old videos while gradually expanding content featuring his younger twin sisters, Emma and Kate, across different
They trying to keep it going. That's crazy, bro. Yeah, these parents are horrible. And like, I should have been played the nasty song. My bad. My bad. I was befuddled.
Yeah.
You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, you nasty. You nasty fam, yeah. You know your name. You
channels and projects. At the same time, the family's financial position remained far more stable than many people expected. While YouTube ad revenue dropped sharply after COPPA regulations and algorithm changes hurt kids' content, their earlier successes had actually secured something much more reliable. His brand had generated over $1 billion in lifetime retail sales, which created a foundation that did not depend on daily views or trending videos. And because of that, their strategy slowly shifted. Instead of chasing viral growth, the focus turned to passive income, with old episodes licensed to international streaming platforms and existing toy and merchandise lines, which continued to sell year after year. In other words, the business stopped being about expansion and became about maintaining what was already built. Along with this change came a shift in how the Kajis presented themselves to the public. Rather than describing Ryan's World as a family project centered on their son, they began calling it a production company, which in many ways revealed how desperate they were to keep what was left of their collapsed empire. As of January 2026, Ryan Kaji is no longer the high-energy child star the internet grew up watching. He is now 14 years old, and his life has shifted into something far quieter and more private than the non-stop production schedule that defined his childhood.
Good, bro. Give him some peace and let him get all his money when he is of age. Every single dime.
Today, Ryan still lives with his family where he attends a private high school. Instead of spending his days surrounded by cameras, studio lights, or toys, his routine looks much more like that of a regular teenager, as he now spends time playing tennis, goes swimming, and skateboarding. Interests that reflect a kid finally getting space to explore who he is outside of a scripted role. And although the channel still carries his name, Ryan's involvement in the business is now limited. Officially, he is listed as a creative director at Sunlight Entertainment, which in practice means occasional voiceover work for his animated videos and brief appearances in challenges. To many longtime viewers, this quieter phase feels overdue, and now, for the first time, his life appears to be guided more by school schedules than upload schedules. But although that might be happening still, online discussions continue to speculate about what Ryan might do as he grows older. Some imagine he will walk away from the internet completely, while others believe that one day, when he is old enough to speak freely, he may choose to tell his side of the story. 10 years from now, Ryan is probably going to make a video to expose his parents who used him as clout. If you enjoyed this video,
I just hope he has the best life. That's what I hope. I hope he's comfortable, peaceful, and don't gotta deal with no bull crap. But tell me what you guys think down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the like button and the hype button. Share the video as well. And make sure you're subscribed. YouTube sometimes be tripping with the unsubscribe button.